Good morning, Otters. I hope you're all well and had a good Monday, and welcome to Tuesday. So we left it, things were looking really positive for Felix and Zelda, or should I say Wilhelm and Violetta. But they had been visited by a Jewish orphan who'd held Zelda at knife point. Well, I'm wondering if we will find out more about him later. So then Genia helped me and Zelda to be Wilhelm and Violetta. She got us fake Wilhelm and Violetta identity cards from a priest in exchange for eggs. She told us all about the place where Wilhelm and Violetta were born. For 2 weeks she tested us on our Wilhelm and Violetta childhoods. What did your father do? He had a shop selling lamp oil, I say. What was your mother's first name? Jadwiga, says Zelda. What street was your school in? Posnod Street, I say, next to the bank. What pets did you have? A chicken called Goebbels, says Zelda. No, says Genia, not Goebbels. That was your pet chicken when you were Zelda. Now that you're Violetta, your pet chicken was called Cranky, remember? Poor Zelda. Genia is a tough questioner. I think she could be a Nazi herself if she wanted to be. Luckily, she doesn't. Remember? She says to Zelda again. Yes, sighs Zelda. I hope Zelda can remember, especially this morning because we're on our way into town for the first time. So far, as we walk along the road past the local farms, we haven't met anybody, but I can see somebody coming in the distance. Suddenly I don't feel ready. Genia, I say, can we go home and practice some more? No, says Genia. People want to meet you. They've seen me buying things for you and they're getting suspicious. We can't put it off any longer. Yes, we can, I wanted to say. But how can you argue with someone as kind and generous and caring as Genia? Look what she's doing for us, and she doesn't even like Jewish people that much. Cranky, Zelda is repeating sternly to herself as she clomps along the road in her new shoes. Cranky. The person coming towards us is a big woman with a grey headscarf and a red face. I'm shivering with nerves now, even though the sun is shining and my hair is gleaming yellow because Genia put more bleach on it this morning. You'll be fine, Genia whispers to me and Zelda. Just don't drop those eggs. We're carrying eggs in boxes. They're packed in straw, but mine are wobbling around because I'm trembling so much. Good morning, Mrs. Plazek, says Genia in the same friendly voice she used with the Nazi soldiers. Good morning, says the scarf woman. She smiles at Genia for about 1 second, turns and looks at me and Zelda. Suddenly, I know what an egg feels like. My disguise feels about as strong as a very thin shell. These are the children I was telling you about, says Genia. Wilhelm and Violetta. Mrs. Plazek clucks sympathetically. Poor orphans, she says, reaching out. For a moment, I think she's going to touch my hair to see if the yellow comes off, but she doesn't. Instead, she grabs my cheek and gives it a squeeze. Your poor dead mummy and daddy, she says. Jadwiga, says Zelda. My father had a shop selling lamp oil, I say. Genia is looking a bit concerned. I think it's because we're answering Mrs. Plazek's questions even before she's asked them. What have you got there? Says Mrs. Plazek, pointing to my egg box. I can't think of what to say. We haven't practiced this one. But after a moment my brain clears. Eggs, I say. Lucky boy, says Mrs. Plazek. I love eggs. Delicious. Once again, I'm not sure what to say. I haven't eaten an egg since I was little. I can't even remember what they taste like. Eggs are good for us, says Zelda to Mrs. Plazek. Goebbels told me. Mrs. Plazek frowns. Zelda's eyes go wide as she realises what she's just said. I mean Cranky, she blurts out. Genia is frowning too now. Mrs. Plazek laughs. Children, she says to Genia. What imaginations. It must be a joy having them around. It is, says Genia, smiling, but still sort of frowning at the same time. I don't care. Mrs. Plazek hasn't run off to fetch the Nazis. She's smiling and waving to us now as we say goodbye and walk away. Our disguises are working. A horse and cart is approaching, but I'm feeling much more confident. I stay feeling more confident until I recognise the old man driving the cart. It's the turnip man. Zelda recognises him too. I can tell from the little squeak she gives. As the cart gets closer, I see the reward notice still stuck to the side. The cart doesn't have any turnips in it today, probably so he can fit more Jews in. It's okay, I whisper to Zelda. He won't recognise us. I hope I'm right. Good morning, Mr. Kroll, says Genia. Mr. Kroll doesn't stop the cart. His only reply is a grunt, but as he rumbles past, he stares at me and Zelda for a long time, not smiling. I feel a desperate urge to tell him my father had a shop selling lamp oil. I manage not to. Bad-tempered old turnip, mutters Genia once he's gone. I agree, but at least he didn't try to get us into his cart. Our disguises are working, even with somebody we've met before. I think we're going to be okay. After a couple of minutes, I glance over my shoulder. I can still see the cart in the distance. Mr. Kroll has turned around in his seat, still staring at us. It's all right, I tell myself. He's probably just thirsty for a drink of vodka, and he's wishing me and Zelda were Jews. Then we got into the town, and it wasn't all right. At first I felt at home. The stone houses and slate roofs and cobbled streets were a bit like the ones in the town where I lived when I was little. When I was Felix, not Wilhelm. But in the town square there's something I've never seen before. Big wooden posts with dead people hanging from them. Don't look, says Genia to me and Zelda. She tries to hurry us across the square. But we are looking. We have to, you have to. It's terrible. The hanging people with ropes aren't soldiers, they're just people. A lady in a green dress, an older lady wearing an apron, several men in shirts, one in pyjamas. The other people in the square aren't looking. They're hurrying past, staring at the cobbles, which is what Genia is trying to make us do. Are those people dead? Says Zelda, pointing. She's starting to get upset. Yes, whispers Genia. They were sheltering the Jew in the green dress. The Nazis caught them and hurt them and everyone else in their family. That's awful. And it's extra awful just to leave them there like that. The Nazis must be doing it as a warning. To people like us. I hate Nazis, says Zelda bitterly. Genia gives her an anxious look as we cross the square. I see why. A group of Nazi soldiers are strolling towards us. A couple of them are looking at us. Come on, Willem and Violetta, says Genia loudly. Be careful with those eggs. I'm finding it hard to be careful with the eggs. I'm having too many feelings all at once. That could be me and Zelda and Genia hanging there. And if it was, Genia would be dead for looking after me, and Zelda would be dead for being my friend. And it would all be my fault. Okay, we're going to leave it there for today. Quite an upsetting chapter there, guys. Sadly, these things did happen in Poland during the Second World War. I know we discussed this before. The Nazis, the German soldiers, felt like, well, they didn't feel it. They were made to believe that Jewish people, as well as other types of people, were not worthy to live. And yeah, very, very sad times indeed. If you have any questions about the book, email me. If you have any questions about your work, also email me. I love to hear from you. And I will check in with you again tomorrow.